What we're going to be talking about now is triggering innovative thinking. And there's 24 triggers we're going to deliver, but I'm just going to do the introduction so you've got a feel for this. I personally hate, despise, dislike, I don't know what the word is, when I hear people say you've got to think outside the box. Especially when we're sitting in a meeting and they're saying, using that term to say, I want you to be thinking innovatively. And there's many ways to solve this. There's 24 triggers we're going to give in this one section, but I want to go over the conceptual side of it before we get to them. And it works like this. You sit in a room and you say to people, think outside the box. What you're saying is, I want you to look outside and find something new information, and then bring it back inside the box so that we could start talking about it and working with it. But by asking that question, what you've already done is said one thing, is we don't have enough data, information, learning experience, and the group doesn't have. And you're pushing them in a direction that probably doesn't get the results. It's too big. It doesn't mean anything. So what I suggest to people is, what if we use triggers? Ways to get people to think about something that helps them to put together new thoughts. So a trigger would be a reaction to something. It's a cause and effect that's going to happen. Let's say if I sat down with you and said, let's try to be innovative here, and what I'd like to do is I'd like to wordsmith something. Which is to bring wording in from different places and play with words. I would like to cross-pollinate. Let's see what else is out there in different industries that we could be brought in. What if we did social forecasting or social thinking? What if we gave you a concept that enabled you to be able to think differently? So let me give you one, not specifically in order, but just to get a sense of it. We have one that's called in here, and I'm going to go into more detail, called mimic nature. So let's say we sat down in a meeting, there's 20 people. Instead of saying, let's think outside the box, let's be innovative, we said, here's a trigger I'd like you to think about. Let's try to mimic nature in this new idea that we're doing. Let me give you an example. Maybe it's good if the leaders, the decision makers, can bring examples. Let's think of nature. We think we've got the greatest supply chain system in the world, and we want to improve it. Let's think about nature. Let's think about spring. Just think of the complexity of spring. If you had to design spring, spring happens in spring. In the fall, nutrients go into the ground. The plants start to lose their leaves. The animals hibernate. They move to different parts. They grow their fur. And in spring, it all changes all at once. It's all coordinated. There's no manager. There's no leader saying, do this, do that. It just happens. How could we as an organization, what could we take from nature that we might be able to mimic here? Now, just think about it for just one moment. When I asked that question, you could not but, in your own mind, say, let me think about that for a minute. Let me think about that for a minute. Oh my God, isn't that what we're trying to do? Get people to think differently? We want them to be outside of the scope of their own thinking, their normal thinking. Now what they're going to do is pull from their experiences outside of the box, and they're going to bring it in to the box that you're working in to see if we can make and create and do something new. That's what we're doing. We're opening up doors. We're exposing them to new ideas. We're inciting and triggering, creating spontaneity out of ideation. In these next 24 you're going to find new answers to new questions. And I can tell you, for me, this is fun. This is fun. So let's get started on our triggers.